Yeah, so this is the problem I'm having. I'm doing my mag check. They're about 1600 RPM. Hit switch number 1. And we got, oof. That's about a 500 RPM drop. Yeah, that's not good.
This is our story of buying a project airplane, working on and around it in the garage, and finally returning it to its natural home, the airport. We've had some high points.
So that's progress and I'm happy.
Some low ones. But we're almost done here and counting down the days until that all-important first flight. Welcome back. There's been plenty to do here these last few weeks, but the biggest job by far has been diagnosing the issues I've had with my CDI ignition system. I've been having a large mag drop on my first 2 ignition switches, so much so that I wouldn't consider it safe to fly. I studied the manual and spoke with other owners and started working through it piece by piece. And on to our first suspect. What people are calling Molex connectors, see these plastic connectors. After speaking with some people, and specifically Glenn Bradley, who has over 1,000 hours on his Revmaster powered Thatcher, it seems like these Molex connectors can end up actually being a problem. You can actually see that this connector is backed out a little bit. You see that air gap in there? And if we go over to this other one, that one is too. And that's just since I got this engine back together and was doing some test running, those had backed out. On these connectors, there's a mini zip tie going around the whole thing to help hold it together, but the terminals themselves can work loose inside the connector. It quickly became clear that this was something that we needed to dive into. You might be able to tell this has already been a problem. All of our connectors are still connected here, are still in line here, and if we come to this side, they've all been ripped out. You even see there's been some repairs made. You can see this clear one, and it may end up that I'll just go ahead and rip all of this out and completely rewire the ignition, but for now I just try to get to the bottom of this as it is. That might end up being a winter project. I'm just going to do one at a time, but when it's not connected, you see how much I can wiggle that, and then what happens is that can end up backing out. At first I was going to try to save these terminals, but I quickly realized it was just better to cut them out and start fresh. To temporarily join these things just for diagnostic testing, I have a couple of these Wagos. They're like butt connectors, only they have little levers and help hold. And these 3-pot ones, you can actually stick a meter in there too. And one of the things with the Molex connectors is if you were back probing this connector, you might actually make contact while you're doing your diagnostic, but then as soon as you take it out, it's not making contact and you got a false reading. Shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to. Do not fly an airplane with these especially as your ignition connectors. Wrap them, solder them, heat shrink. Do not use these. So keeping what they did here, we'll go white to brown and brown to white. Alright, well that's that side done. Time to go over to the other side. Well, that's this side done. I'm going to move it into the grass, fire it up, and see if that made a difference. We'll see. Canopy closed, mixture full rich. All 4 ignition switches on. Turn fuel on long enough to get some up into the carb, and back off again. Master switch on, clear, and start.
Give it a little bit more power. Let's try 1500. 1 down. Nope, same thing. Ooh. There we go, we fixed part of that. Number 2 works. Only about 20 RPM there. 3. A little bit. 4, only a little bit. All I know for sure is that's progress and I'm happy. We'll look into it again, see if there's anything obvious, and then go from there.
Alright, now we're back at the left seat garage, and as you can see, I finally removed my CDI ignition box. I was reluctant to pull it, but after going through absolutely everything else, the problem with switch number 1 had to be inside there. And immediately upon closer inspection, I found this loose solder connection. In fact, I can easily remove it too. So that is a issue, but I'm not convinced it's the issue. So I need to keep looking. Just like outside the box, I did find some loose terminals inside of here that were just pushed back ever so slightly. But this kind of affects the whole system versus one or two circuits. I didn't really think that was the case. I thought these were fine. But it's worth noting that the terminals can loosen up inside the box as well. So after poking around some more, I found this right here. So yes, that's right. That is a broken solder connection. I have my trusty meter out, one lead connected, and we'll bring the other one around. Check for continuity, and I come to this other side. Right now I've got nothing, but if we push that together, there we go. I've got continuity. I don't know about you, but this is looking like me to be the problem. Now I was just reading up on a NASA study about solder connections failing on air and spacecraft, just this week actually. So basically what it comes down to is the frequency range that single engine aircraft operate in can induce vibrations or resonances and electronic components and different subassemblies and harnesses and whatnot, and so it's up to you. But for the real world application, let's go back to our CDI bot. First things first, I'm told this is an older version of this ignition system as it is. And if you look at a newer version, which should be somewhere on your screen right around now, you'll see one thing right away. The newer version is completely filled with potting compound. You see this silicone compound down here where I'm pointing. You can see some capacitors and some other items already in there. So this entire up to and above the board is covered with the potting compound. So that adds vibration resistance to all of these connections and helps them last longer. But wait, there's more. You see up here we have these rubber grommets, and they're definitely past their prime. They're all dry, cracked, and whatnot, but they do provide some strain relief, but really not much. If something were to really yank on this, and maybe that's what happened, I don't know. But it doesn't even take that. And over time of it working back and forth, and the whole thing just comes apart. Now I want to be clear here. I'm not knocking Revmaster for the design, and as I stated, this is a very early version, and what you can see is they've corrected the problem over the years. So this is a early version that didn't get upgraded to the newest one yet, but it will be. But for the time being, this one's going to have to be repaired and then installed back in the aircraft to make sure that this was the problem. So now I'm going to take it inside and fix it, but that, dear friends, will be in part 2. As always, thank you for watching, and if you want to see more videos about owning, working on, and of course, flying small airplanes, please hit that subscribe button to see more from me at Left Seat Adventures.